Overall system is still the same as it was in 1947, essentially, the IAS system, Indian Administrative Services. So the nations that are the most agile and make decisions and implement the decisions the fastest are the ones that are going to rule the world. And that typically happens in dictatorships.
Like China.
So currently, China is far ahead of everybody else in that sense because they are a complete dictatorship, a one-party rule. It's an imperial system. Mr. Xi Jinping is essentially the emperor. So China has a huge advantage there. Russia also is kind of an autocratic state. They have elections and all, but we know what it is. Mr. Putin is essentially the Tsar of Russia. So even in Russia, they have these rapid decision-making systems. So Russia also does well. When it comes to chaotic democracies like India, it's a problem. That may actually do more harm than good in...
See, to be very honest, I am astounded how someone could speak so much of nonsense in such few sentences. Not just that, I am more astounded how millions of people watch this nonsense without any questions. All of that with a poker face. I'm aware some of you could be his fans, but for the larger benefit of the country, someone has to talk sense. Just go through the comment section and you would be concerned about India. What is happening? It is because of this lights, cameras, action, YouTube nonsense. Today, half the population of India supports military rule. Not kidding. These juvenile kids who should rather be watching Pogo channel on the subsidized Geo internet. Now they are building narratives that India should become dictatorships with heavy-handed words, czar, and whatever. In fact, there was a survey conducted by Scroll.in. And basis that survey, 53% of Indians, they support military rule. 55% Indians, they want dictators to be at the helm. They didn't use the term dictator in that survey. They used a term called autocratic leader, a leader who is not constrained by legislature or someone who is not constrained by courts. And 55% of Indians want that autocratic rule. Courts, legislatures, media, all of that is nonsense. Why? Because these juveniles have some half-baked arguments and dreamy ideas around Singapore or China, the countries I'm sure they have not even visited. And they assume that one strong leader is a solution for all the mess. We can debate on the sampling biases on that survey, whatever was conducted. But even this video and the supporter base, the comments, all of that gives us some picture of the modern Indian princess. Very scary. In 1947, when India gained its independence, India was not alone. 1940s and 1950s was a remarkable phase in global politics. Why? What was happening? It was an age that saw a significant shift in the global order. World War II ended. And as happens with any war, World War II significantly weakened the European colonial powers. First, that happened economically. And once your economics are weak, it becomes difficult to sustain the empires. So those economically weakened colonial powers did not have the military might to govern over their overseas colonies. Additionally, there was heightened political awareness in these colonies. Gandhiji in India, Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, Nkrumah in Ghana, they were all becoming symbols of their country's struggles for freedom. It was a remarkable phase in international affairs. It was an age when my organization, the UN, it was also formed. UN emphasized on human rights. UN stood for the principles of self-determination. It also extended a lot of pressure that some are unaware of on these colonial powers, that they should consider granting independence to their colonies. And as a result, that was the age, that was the phase that saw the rise of many countries. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, these are South Asian countries. And you have Ghana, Nigeria, Egypt in Africa. All of those countries were gaining independence. Iraq in West Asia. I can go on and on. But when I was naming these countries, did you notice? All these countries that I named, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Ghana, Nigeria, Egypt, Iraq, all these countries fell prey to dictatorships or authoritarian regimes. All of these countries are still struggling, except India. Why? Just think about this. Pakistan has experienced several military coups. Ayub Khan to Zia-ul-Haq to Pervez Musharraf. Every time there is a power transfer in that country, you either see the Prime Minister running away to Dubai or London, or if for some reason they can't run away, they are in the jail. Look at Imran Khan. And if their former prime ministers are in such a mess, think about regular civilians in those countries. Gamal Abdel Nasser, you all know him? He established military dictatorship in Egypt in 1950s. The country and the people of Egypt are still struggling. Just talk to anyone from Egypt. There are restrictions on freedom of speech, assembly, press. There is harassment, killings of people. Military is conducting rapes, and it's known to people. And you can't do anything. There's no independence of judiciary, and there are daily occurrences of torture, detention. Look at the other aspects: unemployment, inflation, quality of life. Of course, that won't be there in Egypt. Pakistan is not alone. Egypt is not alone. I can go on and on with other countries. Iraq, Sri Lanka. Look at Burma, modern day Myanmar. What is happening there? Became independent in 1948. And then It met its tryst with military rule in just a few years, in 62. Now no one's PI is going to Rangoon anymore. And why should they? Throughout its history, Myanmar's military and even the government have harshly suppressed political dissent. Human rights violations are rampant. You do not have the right to life. People have no jobs, healthcare is on the verge of collapse, and there is no trust in the institutions. There's breakdown of social cohesion. But here India survived all of that. Of course, India had a very brief period of emergency, and in a way that also reminds us how devastating an autocratic rule could be. And then we have two podcasters with absolutely zero on-ground experience, questionable education qualifications, riling up millions of Indians with an idea that India should perhaps embrace dictatorship. And the funny part is not that. The funny part is that Indians are falling prey to it. I told you in the beginning, right, that polity does not just allow us to understand the past. We will also use it to predict the future. And as long as we have these algorithm-driven YouTubers, free internet connection, from riots to dictatorships, all of that is indeed possible in modern-day India. Of course, India is imperfect, like many other countries. No country is perfect. How can they be perfect? India has its own set of problems, rampant corruption, joblessness. But it is the same democratic Republic India that gave us a chance to punch beyond our weight. Same India that allows a rickshawala's son to become an IAS officer. This happens. Same India that allows a tribal woman to become India's president. You can debate on various other intricacies, but that's the reality that happens. You can't imagine becoming a king or queen in UK, right? But in India, you can be that first citizen. It allows millions of entrepreneurs to achieve their dreams. And to be honest, I could never in my dream think that I could study on full scholarship in the US. How and why? Because India set my foundations, gave me the foundations. My schooling was not top-notch. I grew up in Gwalior. There are a few from Gwalior in this community. I didn't go to the best school in Gwalior. The best school in Gwalior is something called Sindhia School. My parents did not have the money to get me admitted there. And there are many other fancy schools, Little Angels and whatnot. I never had the money to go to those schools. My English was deplorable, could not even construct two sentences in the language that I'm speaking today. All of that changed. How and why? Because it is the same India that provided me the opportunity to realize my dreams. But today, not just me, but many with mediocre upbringings, they can achieve big dreams as long as they're willing to work hard. Because India indeed provides opportunities. But the day you have 100% autocratic regimes, all of that will change. People who are close to the rulers, only they will succeed. They will thrive. They will become rulers, they will become entrepreneurs, they will become investors. I don't disagree that it does not happen in India at this stage. It happens. Bloodline plays an important role. Your last name plays an important role. But still there is a provision. If you have the skills, talent, hard work, you can still rise up in the hierarchy. But again, the day you have full-blown dictatorship, autocratic regime, all of that will change. And very interestingly, in the age of algorithm, you may perhaps feel happy about it. Why? Because you've been brainwashed to such an extent that you've lost your critical thinking abilities. And none of that would be your fault. Dictatorship in India in 21st century could be very, very scary. Why? Just imagine if Adolf Hitler had access to drones, missiles, the internet. Just imagine if Adolf Hitler had the tools that are at the disposal of any democratically elected leader today. Just imagine for a second, close your eyes and imagine that Adolf Hitler is here, living with all the access to internet, technology, data analytics. What do you think will be the fate of that nation? How easy would it be for Hitler to use media and propaganda techniques? Not just that, the precision efficiency that he was speaking of, the precision with which such propaganda could be spread, that would be very, very scary. How Nazi would effectively use their facial recognition technology, mobile tracking, data analysis. All of that would give remarkable, unprecedented abilities to monitor, track, trace, oppress population. Hitler could easily track, identify opponents, minority groups, and all of that will happen with incredible efficiency. Only the close friends of Hitler can run big companies. Why? Because judiciary to legislature, they will all ignore his mistakes and their mistakes. Small-time founders would never dream to have a dream. Why? Because ED, FEMA, tax authorities, all of those things could then be used to harass you. This data-driven approach, this modern technology, if you think about it, would have made it so much easier for Hitler to persecute Jews, Romani people, disabled individuals. Data analysis could have helped Hitler identify these individuals very quickly, and even more horrifying scales could have been achieved. Not just this, Hitler could have proven to the world that he is perhaps democratically elected. He can prove this. Fudge data, hire a few people, build a narrative that EVMs are not the problem. And how will that be possible? Because Hitler could spread information or misinformation with such ease. He could create narratives, perhaps he could hire half-literate YouTubers, social media influencers to create fiction and myth. Hitler, with his state resources, his technology, his supreme powers over legislature, judiciary, would make Germans believe that whosoever questions him should go to Pakistan. And that German is not a true German. In a way, what is happening? Technology would be used to equate Hitler to state or Hitler to God. And anyone who questions Hitler is questioning the state, questioning the God. And in all likelihood, with advanced technologies at the helm of Hitler, he would voraciously use AI to instigate caste-based violence, communal violence. Very easy to use. Talk to Sam Altman, figure out ways and means to misspread. He may perhaps ask Twitter to ban certain accounts, and Twitter will perhaps abide by it. Why? Because the founder of Twitter might see Germany as a huge potential market for cars that he wants to sell. It's a huge market. So if God forbid, if India were to become a dictatorship, a country without constitutionalism, you will then remember that golden age, the days when India was chaotic, inefficient. At least you had the freedom to live, have opinions, and possibly the freedom to dream. You can't even dream in North Korea. But yeah, he can be efficient, very efficient. The point these half-literates are missing is governance is not just about efficiency, as some may wrongly make you believe. Governance is also about consensus. It is about equity. It is about empathy. Sadly, in terms of these roles, research, and of course, the basis, the evidence that we have seen in the form of India's most popular podcaster, these Gen Zs, Gen Alphas, they want efficiency for whatever reasons. Let me show you a photo. In fact, this is a photo I've taken from a similar podcast. This is a screenshot from a YouTube video, and this is the comment section. So this India that you just saw on your screens, in a way, is it reflective of the real India that we have now? No. We need to preserve an India that Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar cherished, not what these useless podcasters want. We need to preserve an India where a constitution is our guiding light. We want to preserve an India where constitution is our Gita, Quran, Bible. Most importantly, we need to preserve an India that has beautifully preserved us so far from dictatorships. Why? Because we were built on strong foundations. If you wreck these foundations, and you may see this happening many times, not just BJP, Congress will also destroy it. BJP will also try to destroy it. But the question is, will they succeed? And the answer depends on how do these citizens react. If these citizens are digital junkies, in that scenario, things can be different. And as of now, the way it seems, majority have become digital junkies. They have no jobs, they don't have fresh air to breathe, and they may have questionable freedom, but they are not to be blamed. Why? Because leaders reflect what followers want, not what the followers need. Now in this context, let's write down a question. And this is a question that will form the bedrock of whatever we are going to study now. And by now, I don't mean in today's class, but also in the entire module of polity.